Alrighty then, hey everyone, Animal Man here. How is it going? Welcome to a very different video. I don't normally make stuff like this, I guess, but we're making kind of a tutorial slash information based video about a Pokemon League format. This is a video designed to sort of walk you through what it is, what Pokemon League format is, and this is directed toward anybody who doesn't know, but it's also directed actually towards some of my friends because we have potential plans of starting this up, starting our own league up ourselves on the channel, which I'm pretty excited for. But for now, we're just gonna make a basic, very general tutorial and some basic general strats that differ from regular competitive Pokemon. I will go ahead and say right off the bat that this league format is probably the most competitive that Pokemon gets. We're talking 50-minute long battles, 30 minutes on average, probably. They're very intense, very fun battles. And if I could explain it in a couple of sentences, I would probably say that league format is a battle, a series of battles between people with specific Pokemon that everyone knows about and can prepare for individually. And I'm going to try and show that off, but we're going to start from the beginning of the format. And the beginning starts with drafting. Now, I'm currently on Pokemon Showdown, play.pokemonshowdown.com. And I highly recommend that if you are doing this with friends, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you do it on Pokemon Showdown. I'll have a link in the description. It's free, yada, yada, yada. And the reason that I recommend it very highly is because it's so much easier. You can customize your mons much easier to do have them however you want them. Especially if you're changing them up constantly, especially if you want to change up your EVs, etc. But yeah, if you want to do this, I would highly recommend, unless you have a easy, very convenient hacking device, legit hacking device, then I would recommend Pokemon Showdown. But this is where we're going to start. Basically what drafting is you are going to get a certain number of Pokemon. It's probably going to be around 12 Mons of everyone's choice. And basically these 12 Mons are going to be with you for an entire season for the league. So this basically means you're going to want to choose very carefully. And there are always different rules depending on what leagues you do. The way that I normally have seen, probably my favorite and the most simple one, is 3 Pokemon from each tier. So here we have OU. You get 3 Mons from OU, and that would include the borderline Mons for that tier. 3 Mons from UU, 3 Mons from RU, and 3 Mons from NU. So you get 3 from each tier. That ends up at 12 Mons, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And some will have, I know that the GBA has their own like tiers, and but that's like the biggest league format out there. To keep it simple, I would recommend starting off with something like this. But what we'd normally have is, I'm going to use an example. So we're going to have 3 people. We're going to have Bob, Billy, and Bubba. And I'm going to have their teams down here. So let's say that we are Bob. Now, for this example, we're going to be Bob. And we get the lucky opportunity to go first. Then Billy's going to go, then Bubba. Now, some people do this in a snake format. You can do it however you want. you can also imagine there will be plenty more people. In fact, usually there's about 8 people or so. Depending on how many friends you have doing this with you, of course, it's totally fine. Um, but basically, let's say that we're Bob, and we're about to choose our OU mons first. You usually do OU mons first. And then lower tiers kind of fill in what roles you need. Let's say we're Bob, and usually you only get 1 mega per your team, so let's go ahead and choose our mega while we have the opportunity. How about Mega Charizard? Mega Charizard. Mm, yeah, we'll go with Mega Charizard X. Why not? So, Char X. I'm writing this down in the side thing just so I can keep track. And then we can choose 2 other people. I'm going to choose... Well, actually, that's not how it would go. Hold up. Never mind. Bob just had his turn. Now, here's the deal. No one can choose Mega Charizard X anymore. This is Bob's Mon. Bob has Charizard X. He has it now. No one else gets it. This is his Mon. Now, some people have trading rules, but we'll get into that later, maybe. But now it's been his turn. He gets 3 OU Mons, but he only gets 1 for now. Then we move on to Billy. It's Billy's turn. Billy chooses Dragonite. Okay? So Billy chose Dragonite. Now it's Bubba's turn. Alright, Bubba chooses Garchomp. And now we're going to start back with Bob. So Bob gets another turn. Alright, Bob chooses Heatran. Actually, that's not a good idea. 2 fire types, but whatever. Okay, now it's Billy's turn. Conkeldurr, sure, why not? Okay. Bubba doesn't have a Mega yet. Bubba gets Mega Medicham. All right. Now it's Bob's turn again. Bob chooses Superior. All right. Now Billy doesn't have a Mega, so we're going to go with Mega Scizor. All right. So we keep going like that. All right. So now OU has passed each one of them, and I should have edits on the screen right about now, so you should see all the teams so far. All of them have a Mega, I believe. Wait, we didn't choose for Bubba yet. All right, Bubba chooses Slowbro because Slowbro. And okay, so now we're seeing some teams here. All right. Each one has 3 so far. Those are the 3 OU Mons that they get. And this is the team that they're having so far for the rest of the season. And of course, you could have also chosen from some of these down here. But now it's UU's turn, and usually what they did for the UCL and what I'd recommend is re-scrambling them. So now let's say we randomized it again, and Billy goes first, and then Bob, and then Bubba. So it's Billy's turn to go first, and he chooses Darmanitan. Okay. And then, and of course, you can have megas from any of these. And then Bob, we're Bob, and we choose Diancie. Okay. And then Entei is chosen by Bubba. All right. I think you get the picture by now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out the entire team on the screen. Okay, and I've gone ahead and just kind of filled out a team kind of at random, but I did choose some mons specifically for specific reasons because I want to demonstrate some things. Here's the deal. These 12 mons that I have, and some, like I said, so if you want to change up some rules with you and your friends, that's totally fine. Some of these, all of these mons are basically yours. No one else can have them. Once you choose them, no one else can choose them. They are yours for the entire season. And by season, I mean you will have battled everybody at least once before you will choose again in another season. But a couple of other mini rules. Let's say, because we're Bob, we have Charizard X. Now, Charizard X, we don't really have Charizard, and this is kind of interesting because let's say, for example, there's Mega Pinsir. We can see here that Mega Pinsir is OU, but regular Pinsir is NU, and for good reason. Pinsir and Mega Pinsir are not the same thing. So we can have somebody get Mega Pinsir and then another person get regular Pinsir, unless you don't want to have that rule. But that's generally a rule. And secondly, you're really going to want to get as much diversity as possible. And I kind of just chose randomly towards the end, but you want as much typing, different. You want different types. You want different abilities. You want different stats. You want some mons that are good at special offense, some that are good on special defense, or attack, or special attack. Or I said special attack, but maybe physically defensive. And then you want some mons that can set up rocks, or spin away rocks, or block, the rock spinning or defogging, etc., etc., etc. If you have a decent weakness to fire, then you should get some water types. You constantly want to be thinking about that because these are your 12 mons for the rest of the season. The drafting is a very important part of the entire art, the entire format. But we've gotten everything. We've gotten all of our mons now. It's important to note, you should probably write down everyone's mons. The draft will be done very publicly, if you will. So everyone will know, alright, well, he has Charizard X, and Billy has a Dragonite, and alright, Bubba has a Garchomp. And so when it comes to that battle, you can specifically train up your mons and make up your team to counter their mons. And that is what I'm going to be showing you next. Alright, so I have two teams pulled up here. We have Bob and Billy's. Now, we're going to be kind of quote-unquote team building for their team. And I want to show you kind of the thought process here. Because we have 12 mons and they have 12 mons. And we need to prepare for their team. They can bring any 6 of their 12 mons, and we can bring any 6 of our 12 mons. We can put in whatever EVs we want, we can do whatever moves we want, and then we can change it up for the next battle against Bubba, for example. But let's see here. We have Mega Charizard X, Heatran, Superior, Diancie, Empoleon, Galvantula, Gastrodon, Gallade, Exploud, Cryongula. I just realized I don't know how to pronounce his name. Electivire and Hariyama. Billy has Dragonite, Conkeldurr, Mega Scizor, Darmanitan, Florges Fortress, Golbat, Magneton, Registeel, Jinx, Kabutops, and Hitmonchan. And this is where the mind games start, my friends. Alright, so we have the Mega Charizard X at our arsenal, and I really want to bring that. And the reason that I really want to bring that is because of the fact that he has a Mega Scizor. Now, this is very interesting because there's a couple of things that we can do here. Let's say that we may run into a situation where our Mega Charizard dies. Well, we have options. For example, we have a Galvantula, and we could put Hidden Power Fire on this Galvantula, and he wouldn't and maybe he wouldn't see it coming. Hidden powers is a huge, huge, huge move in this game. Have you ever used hidden power poison on purpose? I don't think I have, but what if you're facing up against an opponent with like a Whimsicott or a bunch of fairies? Then you'd probably want to put on hidden power of poison. In this case, we probably want hidden power fire because that Mega Scizor is such a huge threat. But another thing that I notice is that he has a lot of Pokemon that use the Eviolite. And so because of that, I'm actually thinking of using Hariyama with knockoff, because that way we can knock off some Eviolites in case he decides to bring some. So those are some ideas there for you. Now, let's see here. Let's think about this for a minute. He's probably really, really, really going to want to bring rocks, so he can do a lot of damage to some of my mons here. So maybe I want a defogger or a rapid spinner. In this case, Empoleon gets defog. Alright, so we can also put our own stealth rocks on this and maybe make it specially defensive or something. So we can predict that, of course, we'll have problems with Galvantula because we could end up defogging our own webs away, so we have to keep that in mind. But let's see here. What else do we want to do? We definitely need some ice moves. So we could put Ice Beam on here. But it also wouldn't be in our worst of interest to put any other ice types. Gastrodon can get an ice type move. We have a Cryogonal. Cryogonal? Cry? It cries, whatever it does. So we can put that on our team for some stab. Electivire has Ice Punch, etc., etc., etc. And what else do we need to worry about? Well, he has a Scarf Darmanitan. And do we have a mon that's faster than Scarf Darmanitan? Well, let's take a look here, shall we? Let's look at Superior. Choice Scarf. Let's say we choice Scarf Superior. Superior with a timid nature. What does that look like? 357. Alright, let's take a look at Darmanitans. And let's say we maxed out his speed with a maybe a jolly nature. Okay, so we see that if we scarf our Superior, we're prepared for a scarfed Darmanitan. Now, he may not be scarfed Darmanitan, but a lot of Darmanitans are scarfed, so it's not bad to assume that at all. So we could bring Superior with an HP Rock, for example. Now, obviously, there's some issues with that, and you can think about that all you want. But that's just an example of what team building is like. HP moves are your friends. Protect can sometimes be your friend. And this is also an opportunity for you to try and throw your opponent off. An example of this would be in Billy's case. Billy has a Mega Scizor. Now, he has the option to not bring his Mega Scizor. If he doesn't bring his Mega Scizor, that could actually end up working in his advantage, because that would mean that I would have a wasted move here that I could have put something else completely useful there. And almost all the purpose of this Mega Charizard could be put to waste, only because he didn't bring a mon that I predicted him to bring. So if you do mind games like that, it's a lot of fun. I also just want to do one little quick thing that I like to call speed creeping. And you can do this with a couple of other moves and other stats as well. But here we have a Milotic and a Venusaur. Now let's say we have this Venusaur, and we have base 80 speed. Milotic has base 81 speed. So normally we see that they have a Milotic on the other team, and we have a Venusaur. But he could Ice Beam us before we get to, and I guess we would have Thick Fat, so no, we wouldn't. Never mind. But unless we're Mega, he would get to us normally before we would get to it. So what we could do is, if we look at the stats here, normally both these Mons would have, max HP maybe, and then maybe make this especially a defensive set. And normally we would be something like that too, right? Well, what you could do is you could add just a few, not many, EVs, and now you'll see I am literally 1 point faster just by adding 12 EVs, and then I can stick the rest into special defense or something if I do wish to do so. And that's called speed creeping, and that's something that a lot of people do. They'll take a look. All right, well, if we have a Sharpedo and we give it speed boost, well, if we do the math, after 1 speed boost and this many EVs, it outspeeds this Mon on the other team. So we don't need that many speed EVs. We don't need to max it out, because if we give it exactly this much and then we protect once, it'll be able to outspeed just perfectly. So what can we do with that? Well, we can max out the attack, and then we can just put the rest into HP or something to make it a little bit bulkier. So you can look at the other Mons and you can say, oh, well, we don't really need this much attack, because if we have exactly this much, we should be able to one-shot it. So we can put it in to some other things. And while we have Sharpedo out here, I also want to show this off, because another thing that people love to do is do fancy sets. So, for example, Special Sharpedo, which does work, by the way. Dark Pulse, maybe Ancient Power for a Charizard, Shadow Ball. The hidden powers, of course, Hydro Pump, Ice Beam. Anything like that, Scald, and you can try out stuff like that on your opponent if it makes the move pools better, which means move pools in this game and ability to do stuff like this, very important. But yeah, there's fancy stuff like that you can do in team building. Practice, we're going to try this one more time. We're Bob, and this week we're going up against the Bubba. Ooh, yeah, Bubba. Alright, well, this is going to be interesting, because Bubba has Garchomp, Mega Medicham, Slowbro, Entei, Hoopa, Hydreigon, Scrafty, Seismitoad, Sigilyph, Cacturne, Aurorus, and Claydol. So, interesting team for sure. The Garchomp, of course, should immediately make you think of Ice, which means you'd want to bring an Ice-type move for sure. He also has the Mega Medicham. Now, Mega Medicham is interesting. I think Diancie would probably be a good counter to, I keep doing that, Diancie, or the Mega Medicham. And we could put a move on like Dazzling Gleam that counters it pretty well. Let's say, I don't know. We also see that there's a Garchomp actually, so what we could do is we could stick Hidden Power Ice on it. That way we could potentially catch that Garchomp. Oh, you think you have the advantage. Although that probably wouldn't happen because, yeah, I already have the advantage. What am I saying? This may not even be necessary. What else does he have? He has a Hoopa. So we could try and get a Hidden Power on that. We could also do... We also take care of the Scrafty and the Cacturne and the Hydreigon. So Diancie is really powerful against his team. What else do we have here? Well, the Mega Medicham is pretty much covered. Garchomp as well. How about the Slowbro? Because Slowbros are hard to hit. In fact, Slowbro pretty much says no to Mega Charizard X if it's physically defensive, which he may make his Mon physically defensive. just for the Charizard X. So what do we do? Well, in fact, I would predict the Slowbro. If I were having these teams, the Slowbro may be an unaware Slowbro. So that way it doesn't have to worry about Dragon Dances or anything like that. And it just hard counters it. In fact, I'm so convinced that I would do that that I may not even bring Charizard X just so I could throw him off, as I said earlier. Well, there's also a Seismitoad there, which definitely makes me want to bring Superior or Hidden Power Grass. That works too. In fact, I am actually going to bring both. Hidden Power Grass, and then maybe Superior with Leaf Storm or something. Okay, we have an interesting team here so far. Sigaglyph. We have ice coverage, kind of. Let's see here. I also think that maybe bringing Galvantula for the Sticky Web would actually be really nice. So we're going to do that. Sticky Web goes pretty well with the Garchomp and the Mega Medicham, as well as the Entei and the potentially the Scrafty, the Cacturn, and all sorts of other stuff. So we'll bring like a Sticky Web on there. And let's check, because that Hydreigon is a problem, especially if it's scarfed. Because we're not going to want to scarf our Galvantula. I mean, we could if we really wanted to, but I don't think that's the best idea. What can we do for that that Hydreigon? Well, we could. I actually don't know what we would do. I guess we could go Scarf Electivire. So let's check Electivire speed. 95. Okay, let's check Hydreigon's speed. 95. So what we could do is we could go max speed, choice, Scarf, and then give it a Jolly Nature and hope that he is modest, for example. Instead, that's kind of a roll though, so we may not want to do that. Electivire may not be our mon for that. What else could we look into? We could do Choice Scarf Heatran actually. And it's funny because normally Heatrans aren't scarfed. Oh well, actually that wouldn't work. Never mind. I overestimated his abilities. Now, actually, Scarfed Hydreigon is such a pickle that I would honestly believe that he would bring Choice Scarf just for this team because he realized that there isn't much of a counter. So what I would do is I would make this Diancie to counter him perfectly. Maybe especially defensive, so that I can take a hit and then immediately hit him with a nice Dazzling Gleam that would easily take him out. I think that's what I would do. And of course he could prepare for that. He could go, he has a nice move pool. He could go Flash Cannon. That would stink. Well, this Hydreigon is a huge problem for this particular team. For other teams, maybe Billy's team, it may not be such of a problem, because he could go Dragonite and Outrage, Choice Scarf, Dunzo, Funzo. But in our case, we have quite a bit of an issue with this sucker. So, we could go into that quite a bit more. But I think that what we're going to settle with is a Heatran. Well, we have a Heatran up there. A Heatran that can also take hits from this thing. Kind of double it up, now that I think about it, if I were Bubba, there would be no way I wouldn't bring Flash Cannon, because that would be perfect for the Diancie and maybe a couple of other Ismons too. So, given that, I would highly assume that he'd be specially offensive. So I would probably expect these two to be specially offensive as well. I think that's enough team building. I think I've broken a couple of minds already. I think you all get the main picture. Normally what you'll have is you'll have a couple of people every single week or month or whatever annual thing you want to do, if you want to do an annual thing at all. You have a battle, and you can change your team for whichever person you're battling. And after that, you have like a playoff session. So whoever does the best, the 4 people or so who do the best, get a final battle. And whoever wins that wins the cup. And then you start over. And you can redraft your teams and whatnot. And it's very fun. It's probably, like I said at the beginning of the video, the most competitive that that I've seen Pokemon get, which makes it incredibly fun. Anyway, yeah, I do have hopes to be able to do this in the new year with my friends. Shade Gorilla, Big Red Blob, Shadow Gaming, Slayaton, and Diamond Duck. Potentially some others. It would be a ton of fun. But I think that's about all that I need to speak of as far as the rules for these go. You can obviously make your own rules for things like how you draft. That's probably the simplest one. Is just pick 3 from each tier. But of course you can maybe, I don't know, outlaw some mons or something like that. It's up to you. But anyways, that's going to wrap up this video. Thank you all for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you all later. Take care, and goodbye.